In this video, we shall discuss about national movement, the early phase, 1885 to 1919. The national movement led to unification of diverse people and sections of society into one nation to fight against British rule, also build a new country. The first topic of lesson is early associations. In this topic, we will discuss about two events. First one is Revolt of 1857 and second one is formation of associations by educated Indians. The main points of Revolt of 1857 are soldiers, ordinary peasants, artisans, and landlords, even princes joined against British rule. They did not have a new vision for country. They wanted rule of old kings and queens and caste-based society. Educated Indians like Surendranath Banerjee, Justice M.G. Ranade, Badruddin Tyabji, K.C. Telang, G. Subramaniam organized associations in Calcutta, Pune, Bombay and Madras during 1866 to 1885. In 1866, Dadabhai Nauroji organized East India Association in London. These associations had nationalistic zeal and tried to unite intellectuals. They tried for sovereign, that is, Indian people should be empowered to take decisions regarding their affairs. They also led campaigns against some British policies like taxes on textiles, racial discrimination against Indians, repressive laws against Indian newspapers, etc. They realized importance of discussions and campaigns. Our next topic is moderate pace of Indian National Congress. All nationalistic intellectuals, with the help of A.O. Hume, a retired British official, came together to conduct first session of Indian National Congress at Bombay in December 1885. W.C. Banerjee conducted it and attended by leaders like Dadabhai Nauroji, Parajesha Mehta, Badruddin Tyabji, Surendranath Banerjee, Ramesh Chandra Dutt, S. Subramanya Iyer and others. Total 72 delegates from Bombay, Madras and Calcutta. There are three main objectives of Indian National Congress. The first objective is to build nationalist consciousness among Indians. They therefore decided to hold the Congress sessions in different parts of the country every year and not to pass any resolution which was objected to by any one religious group. Second objective is to create a common political platform or program around which political workers in different parts of the country could gather and conduct their political activities, educating and mobilizing people on all Indian basis. To achieve this, they studied the grievances of people and wrote appeals to the government and also used them to educate the people about their political rights. The third major objective was to promote democratic ideals and functioning in India. Therefore, Indian National Congress functioned democratically, discussing all issues and trying to evolve consensus or sometimes voting also. Resolutions of Congress are against salt tax, treatment of Indian laborers abroad, and sufferings of forest dwellers. Work of moderate leaders. They did not take up social reforms. Leaders are mostly lawyers, journalists, traders, industrialists, teachers, and landlords, and a few women like Kadambari Ganguly. They asked to increase Indian members in Imperial Legislative Council and also extend it to all provinces. They demand for civil service examinations. According to Nauroji, R.C. Dutt and Ranade, British policies led to poverty and famines in India. They also demanded industrial development to end poverty. They believed that the British were committed to freedom and justice and would accept the demands when expressed properly. They adopted a policy of pray, petition, and protest.
How should we describe the events that occurred in India in 1857? William Dalrymple's view is that while the term mutiny is too narrow, War of Independence is also too wide. Most historians tend to agree that rebellion is suitable, but what actually happened? The British East India Company, formed in 1600, set up outposts in India to trade in textiles and spices for the home market. As their influence grew, they fought a number of battles with the Indians and the French to secure hegemonic power over the subcontinent. This culminated with a British victory at the Battle of Plassey in 1757, which secured the company's monopoly over India. Fast forward 100 years and discontent is growing. Taxes are rising and land rights are being denied to itinerant tribes who turn to banditry in protest. The word thug comes from the Indian Tughi, the name for these bandits, and the Hindi word for deceit. Also, land meant for mosques and temples was being taken for churches, and native peoples were concerned rightly that the British meant to convert them to Christianity. Interestingly, as British power increased, so did segregation between the British and the natives. Early on in the East India Company's history, British officers often became Indianised and were moved and influenced by Indian culture, such as the tolerant religious pluralism advocated by the great leader Akbar centuries before. But as the British began to dominate, all of this changed. In 1780, 1 in 3 East India employees married Indian women, while in 1820 this figure dropped to 1 in 7. This growing oppression is the backdrop over which the events of 1857 began. This is the Enfield P53 rifle, and to load it, it required that the user bite the new paper cartridges to release the bullet and gunpowder. The problem was that these new cartridges were greased with beef and pork fat, which of course was hugely offensive to the Hindu and Muslim sepoys who were hired by and fought for the company. This discontent led to a young sepoy officer, Mangal Pandey, who is now a national hero, shooting at his officer and consequently being executed. Gradually, as this news and the discontent spread, sepoys mutinied in Cawnpur, Lucknow, Jhansi and Meerut, among others, with the sepoys of Meerut marching 40 miles to Delhi, the seat of the last Mughal emperor, the ageing Bahadur Shah Zafar II. The revolt spread throughout the city, and Europeans and Christian Indians were slaughtered. The Shah, being emperor only in name, was reluctant at first, but accepted the sepoys' pleas for leadership, and Delhi was secured. Of course, the rebellion was short-lived, as British troops were brought in from the Crimean War and from China, slowly marching on Delhi, killing many along the way. They set up a base outside the city and besieged the city for almost 3 months, while much of that time being heavily on the defensive themselves. At times it seemed like the British might have to withdraw until reinforcements arrived from the Punjab, where Sikhs had no intention of supporting the Mughal emperor. The city was eventually recaptured along with Bahadur Shah, whose sons were immediately killed and himself sent into exile. Many were murdered in retaliation and many executed by cannon, as was Mughal tradition. Similar events occurred across the country. The rebellion lasted over 2 years in total, but reaction was swift, and the East India Company was dismantled by the British government, who took direct control over the subcontinent. And it wouldn't be until 1947, almost 200 years later, that India would finally see independence.